Welcome back to the Morning Show here on the Rise News. I am Adesua Omorwan.
I'm Rafai Seni.
And I'm Shaiton Atigari. Good morning.
All right, let's go straight to it. The Edo State leadership crisis, which began after the Edo All Progressives Congress, APC, had won elections into all 24 member assembly in the state, is far from being over.
Indeed. Now, the fact that there is a common platform being shared by the members of the Edo State House of Assembly, the APC National Chairman and former Governor Adams Oshiomhole, as well as the incumbent Governor Godwin Obaseki, would have made the outcome of the 2020 governorship election in the state more than predictable. However, against the backdrop of the worsening crisis, there seems to be an emerging consensus among political watchers that the All Progressives Congress might be in for a great surprise at the polls next year.
The National Chairman of the All Progressive Congress, Adams Oshiomhole, who has been at loggerheads with Edo State Governor Godwin Obaseki over who controls the levers of power, both within the state chapter of the All Progressives Congress and the state government itself, has dismissed fears that the party may lose next year's governorship election in Edo State.
However, there's now an impression that everything is being done to resolve all the crises in the state at the national level. Oshiomhole, who has debunked insinuations of a disintegration of the APC, believes strongly that all is well.
Very angry and all that. We are on top of the situation. But let me reassure you, Edo State is not at the risk of losing the next election. Edo people have accepted the APC as a preferred party since 2008 when I assumed office. And if you look at the result of elections, it shows that the people have faith in our party on the basis of the performance of the government that the party has produced, both when I was there and even after I have left. But there are issues. The fact that I come from a place does not mean that the place cannot have a quarrel. I would be very surprised that you must be exceptionally lucky as husbands and wives, if between you and your wife and sometimes your children, you do not have misunderstanding. If anybody suggests that when you have argument in the family house, that the family is about to go under, the person may be a poor student of human history and human organization. I believe that the issues in Edo and in any other state will be resolved peacefully, to the benefit, not just of the party, to the benefit of the people in those states. We are committed to retaining Edo, particularly now that we have Bayelsa added to Edo. The more reason we cannot afford to do anything which, in our opinion, can possibly lead to APC losing Edo State.
Joining us now on the Edo State leadership crisis is Dr. Pedro Obaseki, the convener of the Midwest Movement and former candidate of the governorship election in 2016 in the state as well. Thank you so much, Dr. Obaseki, for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Well, you listened to the former governor of the state and national chairman of the APC, Adams Oshiomhole there. A lot has happened since both men described this crisis as speculative and invention of the media. There have been attacks and counterattacks by both camps. In fact, the Deputy Governor, Philip Schreiber, found himself in the mix as well. Most recently, the State House of Assembly Speaker declared 14 seats vacant for members-elect who refused to present themselves for inauguration. You talked about a rapprochement the last time you were here. Are you still optimistic about that? And what do you have to say about Mr. Oshiomhole's comments?
Maybe I'll start with Mr. Oshiomhole's comment. I truly believe, I pray and hope, I don't have to read my Bible, that he wasn't being economical with the truth. I pray and hope that he really means, or he really meant what he said. Because if he does really mean what he said, then what we've been having is more or less like a storm in a teacup, you know. But as someone who just flew in from Benin into Lagos yesterday, as I yesterday, at least I can, without mincing words, you know, read the political thermometer of the state. And it's a little much of a fire cry from what was so brilliantly and elucidly described by the ex-comrade governor and national chairman of the APC. But I believe that the only way that the Edo Commonwealth can be protected, and the only way that no few persons, for the sake of their selective individual personality crisis or problems, will fret away the patrimony of the collective peoples of Edo State, that the only way, like every war, should be settled on a negotiating table. So I believe by the grace of the Lord and by the good people and ancestors of the God-fearing, culturally oriented, Oba-respecting people of Edo State, both parties, particularly the national chairman, has no other way than to settle. If not, he in particular, and to a lesser extent all the other actors involved, will be swept away on the dung heap of our political yesterday.
Let me, make this look sort of like a movie scenario.
Yeah.
And this became very palpable to me when something happened recently to the APC. Pastor Eze Iyamu.
Yes.
You want to call that a provocateur in this big movie? Because there is no smoke without fire. Pastor Eze Iyamu can't just join the APC and says, I'm here to support the status quo.
Well, what is the status quo?
The status quo, allegedly, is so to ensure that the governor returns. Every governor gets a second term. But Pastor Eze Iyamu coming into the APC in the heat of all this matter. Talk to me about this.
I don't want you to believe. I think we are overflogging it to actually think that Pastor Eze Iyamu is the agent provocateur here. He is not. I have the singular privilege of being a younger brother to the sitting governor and also being a maternal cousin to Pastor Eze Iyamu, who I actually supported in the last election exercise. But I want to make this clear, that from the polity, because none of us actually expected Godwin Obaseki to perform to the extent he's performed. Everybody at that time thought that we were going to be saddled with more of the same. And he has changed the entire political landscape. Whether we like it or not, in spite of what he's playing out in Edo State, it is clear and glaring that there is a new sheriff in town. So for me, I wrote an article about 2 weeks ago when the rumor became heightened that Pastor Eze Iyamu was moving to the APC. Till now, he hasn't really moved to the APC. Really. I hear it might be on the 13th. And I wrote there that I just pray that the once upon a time political fixer in Edo State will not transit into a political dinosaur. Because the polity in Edo State today, the entire polity, from the grassroots to the upwardly mobile middle class, happen to be, forget the brigandage on social media, to be on the side of the sitting governor, of the incumbent governor. And if Pastor Eze Iyamu, a very intelligent man in terms of looking at the political landscape, will not allow himself to be swept away in a tsunami, which is what is actually brewing. So I don't join those who think that the movement of Pastor Eze.
But he's not going to come and just say, I want to be a party man. We know Pastor Eze Iyamu he's got aspirations. Yeah, and I got aspirations too. And he's constantly showing those aspirations. So Pastor Eze Iyamu coming to the APC,
from the PDP,
yes, he's going to want to challenge an Obaseki at the primaries of the APC, for instance. A lot of people are saying that is Oshiomole's joker.
No. Let me explain something. You see, I am close to both persons. And I will say here, without mincing words, that maybe one of the major triggers of Osage's campaign was me. I was the podium leader. I was the speaker. I was the man who took him and all he stood for without humility. And I can say that the only thing that Pastor Eze Iyamu is not is stupid. Seriously. And I think the Shakespeare once said that there is no art yet to tell the mind's design the mind's construction on the face. We cannot be ascribing to a man what he had not yet said. I like taking things from a very empirical and not a subjective, maybe it go happen level. And taking that into consideration, I will only judge Pastor Osage Izeyamu on what he said, on what he does, and not the provocative array and plethora of rumors that has inundated the space. I am a victim of unprovoked rumors. So I think that maybe the PDP, we know what is happening down in my state, the PDP had more or less similarly locked out Pastor Izeyamu. And he has made it clear that he doesn't want to be so locked down. But however, in the larger scenario in Edo State, the first thing we ask is, who is in charge of the party at the state? You read all the stuff in the newspapers. You see all of them on television. The governor, I use the word, the governor is the new sheriff in town. In short, he has even surprised a lot of us by his capacity to even come out. We are not a docile people. And not stopping there, the Edo people, we are humongously, how will I put it? We are very opinionated, at times grossly negatively so. That is the truth. So for me, an Obaseki, I do not think that there will be a major fight in the general election. As for the primaries, 1 month is a century in politics. So when I see people sitting behind the sanctuary of locked doors and begin to play draft on a chessboard, I begin to wonder, are you really looking at the arithmetic or you are looking at the geometry? Oh. And on that level, I will say the election, the primary elections is in another 5 months. Okay. And it's too early for us to begin to build the cat.
We'll come back to talk some more about Edo politics right after this break. Please join us again.
Welcome back to the morning show here on the Rise News. We're still joined in our Lagos studios by Dr. Pedro Obaseki discussing the Edo State leadership crisis. Now, I want to talk about the legality of this all. Like Adesuwa rightfully mentioned, even the deputy governor has been dragged into this. He's been suspended, the governor as well as the national chairman. What's the legality of this? Because there's a rule that says that you can't suspend a party executive except it's at the NEC or a party national convention. So I'm trying to understand how all of this plays into what is going on right now. Okay, thank you.
I actually, on this level, I feel sorry for the Oshiomhole camp. Because it seems as if the camp of the national chairman never read or still haven't acquainted themselves with the constitution of the APC. You see, the relevant constitutions of the APC, particularly Article 13 and Article 14, that describes the roles and functions of all the party organs, lays it clearly that the 16 titles under the National Working Committee have no right howsoever, whatsoever, whensoever, wheresoever to suspend or even have jurisdiction or adjudication rights over any member. Ironically, it says clearly that the executive committee, and it is in their Article 21. Article 21, there's a particular one that is titled Punishment of Erring Members. Article 31, subsection D, talks about the suspension of these members. And how does it work? Very simple. If I'm a card-carrying member of the APC, I cannot be a member of the APC at the national level. I cannot be at the state level. I cannot be at the local government level. I must be a member first, ab initio, at the ward level. So for me to even be suspended, it has to start from my ward. So what happened in the case of Adams Oshiomhole, his ward chairman openly sat on television and announced the suspension of Comrade Adams Oshiomhole. Now, the next thing the thing says is that for it to take effect, it must be ratified at the local government executive council level, which is all the members of the working committee, along with the elected officials and ex-official members of the local government level, and whoever is a councillor. Then it now goes to the state executive committee, not the state working committee, not chairman, no. That is all that the governor of the state and all those persons. Now, before it will now be referred to the National Executive Committee, which is all the state governors, the Senate president, and the president of the country, who is a member of the party, or the governors who are members of the party, two senators from each of the geopolitical zones, not all the senators, and then 3 House of Rep from each geopolitical zone. So it's clear. So which means that from the very beginning, the National Working Committee of the APC, which is actually parading the best party constitution in Nigeria because it was written by forces who did not trust each other. The ACN, the AMPP, the ABGA faction of Rocha Sokorocha, and the CPC. So you had a motley of forces, each one checkmating each other to produce pardon my French, a damn good constitution. So, and the constitution actually splits, there is serious split and separation of power. Like it's even better than the Nigerian constitution in the way it plays out. In the check, yes, because of the very, very high level of checks and balances. So when I look at it, and the thing says that once you are suspended, you have 7 days to appeal. And when the appeal goes, there's 14 days to sit over the appeal. And then there's another 7 days to appeal the appeal. And after that, the National Working Committee, it is beholding on them to now carry out whatever the final judgment is. Now, where is Oshiomhole in trouble? Because I read last week that one of their people went to court to insist that Oshiomhole does not even have, he doesn't have the vials in law. He doesn't have the rights, the powers. It's ultra vile for him to even set up or even parade himself as the APC National Chairman because he is being suspended. And that suspension at the ward level, which is the originating unit for his membership in the party, and then he did not follow up with an appeal. So when I look at it, I just say, whoa, who is advising Mr. National Chairman? So, and I think maybe I would do it too, maybe. I just, what are these people? I just breeze it away in the wave of the hand. So in terms of the legality, the law appears to be on the side of the Godwin Obaseki fashion. I mean, you don't have it's not rocket science. You notice all the court cases and all the adjudication so far. The Oshiomhole side has not won one. Okay.
Because I want to bring in we've talked about party politics. Let's bring into the scheme of things happening in the House of Assembly, where the Speaker has now declared those 14 seats vacant and ordered INEC to conduct fresh elections in 90 days. What's the legality of that? Because the members-elect affected describe this as laughable. They are challenging the inauguration of the Assembly in the first place.
Let me sit properly. Because that is actually a bigger existential threat to the state. And I would talk politics, and I would talk legalities. On a legal level, I've said it again and again, and all the court cases have proved it so far, that the governor can only but do one proclamation. That is a fait accompli. Number two, it is not beholden on anybody outside of the person so duly elected to walk free will to go and be inaugurated. In all this, I've gone on several platforms appealing to my brothers to step forward to the Anthony Nahoro House, which houses our Edo State House of Assembly, and demand to be inaugurated. It was their bona fide right. But none of them did that, not for once, because the Edo people would have shut down that assembly if the 12 or 14 of them had walked there to the State Assembly door and they are barred or prevented from being sworn in. None of them since the 17th of June. Now, let's leave that as it is. On the other hand, the Nigerian Constitution is clear Articles 91 to 109 describes the functions and jurisdiction and dispensation of duties of the houses of assembly. And it is clear. It says one. Okay, before I explain that, I'll just say this quickly. There are 14 of them. I believe that the 2 who were sworn in and then refused to go for sessions thereafter can be declared vacant by the Speaker. Oh. Because the Constitution also states that the House must sit for a minimum of 180 days in a year. And that within that calendar year, you must attend to 1/3 of the amount of time the House must sit. Now, since June 17th to maybe June to December 17th, half a year is gone. So if you've not shown up in that time, it means that there is no, arithmetically, you will never make up the amount of time required by law for you to sit. Let me quote something happened in this same state, inside that same building in 1983. And it was the case of Barrister Benson Alegbe, Speaker of the Edo State House of Assembly, of the Bender State House of Assembly, as it then was, sacking or declaring the seat of a member vacant. The member went to court, and the Supreme Court declared that as it is in the 1979 Constitution, which paragraph was actually lifted in total in the 1999 Constitution, which also states that only the Speaker, if you can only be absent if the Speaker agrees in writing that the number of the reasons for your absence is legitimate, like maybe falling ill, huge personal infamy, something like that. Outside of that, you have no right not to be there. So those 2, I think, without even thinking twice, they should be declared vacant. But the other 12, you don't need to declare them vacant. You know why? Why? They were never occupied. You can only declare vacant what was occupied. But
they did win elections.
No, you don't get my point. It is vacant. It's always been vacant.
They were never sworn in.
Don't be using those. Make not mislead people now. Relax, Erufai. I say Erufai. This is your name, cause trouble. Okay, right now, you have 3 seats there, and your program is to start at 10, and then you don't show until 11. You still haven't shown, and then this Madam now says, as you can see, because Rufai did not show, we are declaring Rufai seat vacant. Rufai seat cannot be declared vacant because it's vacant already. Right. So a man not sworn in, there is no recognition in any article of the Nigerian Constitution of that appellation, member-elect. The member-elect is a social appellation that you and I give to describe someone who won an election, who is yet to be sworn in, and usually we have a window when someone remains something elect. If you are the Oba-elect, it's different from when you are the Crown Prince. The Crown Prince is not an Oba-elect. It is when an Oba passes and then someone has been chosen to be the next Oba. So between the time he is chosen and the time he is coronated or installed, he is Oba-elect. Between the time you win an election and the time you are inaugurated, you are member-elect. But the members-elect have allowed this time to go, which by law already disqualifies them. Because anybody who is not sitting there as the number of days prescribed by the Constitution means their seat should go for a by-election. So that is the legal. Yeah. However, me as Pedro Obaseki from Edo State, I still think that the best way to do this, so as not to throw the polity out of cosmic balance, is for my brothers who have refused. They've lived in Abuja. We did not vote for them. We even know the hotels they live in Abuja. It's in the public domain in Edo State. We knew the first hotel they were in. We knew which belongs to one of our biggest boys in our state. We knew how they went to another hotel which belonged to another general from my state. And so it is in the public domain. It is what we use in playing Ayo on all our social media handles.
I think it says we'll be going to a quick break right about now. But we have a lot of follow-up. So you were trying to see what should be done. So they should still go ahead and get sworn in.
Yeah, they said they should be declared vacant. If I was the one, I would go tomorrow.
So quickly go.
And I will create a little constitutional...
We'll go for a quick break. When I come back, I'll just talk on the lines of legality. We'll be right back.
Yes.
Welcome back to the morning show here on Rise News. We've got Dr. Pedro Obaseki, and where we're tearing apart and extracting what is happening in Edo State politics. I mean, not necessarily the state leadership. There's no problem with the state leadership, but the politics, the APC itself. So you said something very poignant, and I just want to take you on this, that since the ward has pushed to suspend Adams Oshiomhole, and the Constitution says once the word suspends you and the process starts, that's sacrosanct. Yes. Adams Oshiomhole, after that suspension, still rallied the National Working Committee of the party. Is that legal? Does Adams Oshiomhole have the right to still conduct the National Working Committee of the APC, despite the fact that his locus unit has suspended him?
You see, that is the problem with describing the locus standi of Oshiomhole. You see, as at the time he was suspended, which was just about a week before the summoning of the National Executive Committee, he was supposed, ironically, although I think they didn't see that it could happen to the chairman, he was supposed to summon that National Electoral Committee, which they've been fighting to be summoned since last year. The Constitution says it must hold once every quarter, every 3 months. But it wasn't held since August last year. And when it was held, everybody knew what happened. I have newsmen who were there as staff in my news organization who were there as staff on the day. And he, immediately after the president left, he shut down the National Executive Committee. Everybody knew what happened. And we also knew the fallout immediately, that almost immediately 14 or 16 of the state chairmen signed a paper requesting that what he did was illegal. But be that as it may, what should happen now? If you notice, all the meetings is called after then. He had called the meetings with the governors in Jos, where no one turned up, and then the meetings with the South-South leaders of the party, which are all the ministers, the governors, and stuff, where even the only senator from my state, Francis Ali-Miken, did not turn up. The senator, ironically representing his own senatorial district, who is from about 25 kilometers from his hometown, did not show up. The 2 ministers from my state did not show up. The ministers from Bayelsa, Rivers, Amechi did not show up. Akpabio did not show up. Timipre Silva, the Minister of State for Petroleum, did not show up.
He doesn't have the oomph to call them?
No, maybe that was the first frontal question on the legality of this, on a legal level. You know, legality and the legal implications and the political implications therefrom may not necessarily be swimming on the same ebb or riding the same wave. But right now, I got scared when I saw last Friday or Thursday last week, about 4 or 5 days ago, that someone had gone to court for a pronouncement because of the constitution of the Reconciliation Committee, that he doesn't have the vice, that he doesn't have the right under the law to even summon, form. Apart from his being suspended, the constitution of the party actually states that only the executive committee at all the levels in the party can create such committees for reconciliation and disciplinaries. So I think what is happening is that the APC has a national chairman who is not in tandem with the letters of the constitution of the party which he is meant to superintend over. And I think he should get together with that document. Okay. And I also feel that going forward, the only way that the comrade can come out shiny or smelling sweet at the end of this is to go behind the sanctuary of locked doors, call his once upon a time lieutenant, and then his younger brother. Do you know that Philip Shuaibu legally is actually the younger brother of Adams Oshiomhole?
But Philip Shuaibu is against Adams Oshiomhole now.
So why don't I ask you, what must have been that it is that a young man, Philip Shuaibu, whose father on paper is the foster father, legally, who adopted Adams Oshiomhole in Kaduna via the ECWA, ECWA, Evangelical Church of West Africa, who took a young Oshiomhole and put him in school, put him in textile industry. The same, I have pictures. Young man,
for want of time,
go against Oshiomhole. Something must be systemically wrong.
Exactly, and let's talk about the way forward, because, you know, Adams Oshiomhole, the former governor, has said,
yes,
this is nothing personal. This is purely governance. He says, for instance, one of the grounds he has with Governor Obaseki is that he's abandoning projects. And he made example of the 5-star ultra-modern hospital, which has been commissioned by President Muhammadu Buhari since 2016. And another one is that he's retiring old politicians in the party. He's making them look irrelevant. Those are some of the grounds that he has with him.
I'm sure
how do they go forward from here?
If any Edo man just heard you now at this one, they will laugh a chuckle,
And why?
a deep one,
Why so?
over that hospital. The hospital, we all knew. In fact, the PDP made a video after it was inaugurated, after it was declared opened in October 2016 by Mr. President. That was the biggest vote-face. That was the biggest public deceit that Adams Oshiomhole ever did. We all know that materials were taken from the Stella Obasanjo Hospital, which is about 3 kilometers down the road, and retrofitted into that place to make it look like there was a functional hospial.
Did you know
let me finish.
Obaseki was on the board of the economic team of the government?
No, wait, sorry, madam. In Nigeria, let me quote the famous American politician, president. He said, on my table, the buck stops.
Okay.
So as at that, Harry Truman, the truth of the matter is it was Oshiomhole's administration, not Godwin's. So I cannot be blaming Godwin for... In this, there are some commissioners in Lagos State today who have not seen Oshiomhole's face, except at the Executive Council meeting. Let's not talk about that. I am saying that Mr. Oshiomhole, not Godwin, invited Mr. President to open a dummy hospital. We all know. So, and it was all in the civil society boys all went haywire.
What about retiring politicians for want of time?
The retiring of politicians, you know, in Nigeria, we are the only country where you retire people, and when they get so tired, you make them presidents. At the age of 60, a small office in the civil service thinks you are not functional enough anymore to be able to handle the vagaries of a small administrative federal parastatal. And at 70, we are beginning to push you into positions where you can't sleep, because the executive office or political office of huge demands on persons need your attention. Abroad, the Macrons are ruling. Nigeria, we are rolling out dinosaurs. I do not at all support the recycling of the people who have made sure that our take-home pay don't take us home. I keep telling people, I told Rufai outside, that the biggest problem Nigeria has is that the upwardly mobile middle class, the educated elite, abandoned the space in 1999. So today, the worst of us are ruling and lording over the best and the rest of us. If Godwin Obaseki has looked at the political landscape in Edo State, where the people like Tony Kabaka, who did not finish primary school, I am not saying secondary, is beginning to be appointed by Mr. Adams Oshiomhole as the leader of the Edo people, of Beninese, of persons who parade themselves with knowledge of a tribe that as of 1550 already had the technology to produce the Idia mask Hello. If that is the only thing that Godwin did or is doing, to rid our space of motor-part Democrats, may the peace of the Lord and the spirits of my ancestors be with him forever and ever.
That's a good way to end it. I mean, what a bombshell with Dr. Pedro Obaseki today. That brings us to the end of the show. I'm Rufai Oseni.
I'm Adesu Almora.
And I'm Sheiton Atigari. Thank you for watching. You can also follow us on our social media handles showing now on the screen. And from my entire team here in Lagos, enjoy the rest of your morning and, of course, the rest of your day. Goodbye.